Welcome to VRD History, where we dive into the research and development that defined the icons of motorsport. In the early 2000s, Formula One was dominated by three names: Michael Schumacher, Todt, Rory Byrne. They were the public face of the most ruthless, unstoppable empire the sport had ever seen. But behind the trophies, the red smoke and the podiums sat a quiet South African, a man who didn't crave the spotlight, but whose mind weaponized the laws of physics. His name is Rory Byrne, and while Brawn ran the tactics, Byrne built the masterpieces. Today we look at the mechanical genius behind Ferrari's golden era, the radical innovations that broke the grid, and what happened when the sport's greatest designer walked away from the drawing board. By the turn of the millennium, aerodynamics were becoming the dominant force in F1. But Rory Byrne understood something his rivals missed. True speed isn't just about maximum downforce. It's about aerodynamic efficiency and packaging. Enter the Ferrari F2002. Before this car turned a wheel, the paddock thought Ferrari had packed the F2001. They were wrong. Byrne re-engineered the entire rear end of the car. He worked hand in hand with the engine boss Paolo Martinelli to create an ultra-compact titanium gearbox casing. This allowed Byrne to sculpt the rear bodywork into an incredibly tight Coke bottle shape. The result? A massive reduction in drag and an unprecedented clean airflow over the rear wing. The F2002 didn't just win, it decimated the field, taking 15 wins out of 17 races. But Byrne wasn't done. In 2004, he unleashed his magnum opus, the F2004. If the F2002 was a scalpel, the F2004 was a spaceship. Byrne focused heavily on lowering the center of gravity and optimizing weight distribution. He repositioned the radiators at a radical angle and perfected the periscope exhaust system to blow hot air away from the rear suspension elements, preventing aerodynamic disturbances. Pairing this aero package with Bridgestone tires meant the F2004 could abuse its rubber in high-speed corners without overheating them. It set lap records that took 13 years and massive hybrid era downforce regulations to finally break. What made Byrne different from Adrian Newey or Patrick Head? Newey was a pure aerodynamicist who lived by the wind tunnel and the pencil. Byrne was a trained chemist and a master of material science. He didn't just look at the air, he looked at how the car twisted under the load. Byrne was a pioneer in carbon composites manufacturing. He realized that if you could precisely align the carbon fiber weave, you could make bodywork that was rigid under normal conditions, but would flex at high speed to shed drag on the straights, a precursor to modern aero-elasticity. He was also a perfectionist regarding structural integrity. During his entire peak era at Ferrari, the team suffered almost zero structural mechanical failures. His cars were bulletproof. By 2006, the dream team was fracturing. Schumacher retired, Brawn moved, and Rory Byrne decided it was time for a quieter life. He moved to Thailand, pursued his passion for scuba diving, and stepped away from the intense 80-hour work weeks of Maranello. But you can never truly leave Ferrari. Whenever Ferrari found themselves in a technical crisis, a familiar figure would be spotted boarding a flight to Italy. Byrne was brought back as a consultant. When the 2012 car was miles off the pace pre-season, Byrne was called in to diagnose the aerodynamic instability. He fixed the pull rod front suspension geometry, transforming the car into a machine that almost brought Alonso a miracle world championship. And when Formula One shifted back to ground effect aerodynamics in 2022, Ferrari knew they needed the old master. Why? Because Rory Byrne was one of the few designers left in the paddock who actually designed championship-winning ground effect cars back in the early 1980s with Todt. He helped mentor the new generation of Ferrari engineers, ensuring the F175 had one of the most innovative floor designs on the grid. Rory Byrne never wanted the fame. He didn't write best-selling autobiographies, and he didn't command the media attention. He let his cars do the talking, and they spoke in the language of pure, unfiltered speed. He remains South Africa's greatest engineering gift to motorsport, and the quiet titan who gave Scuderia Ferrari its greatest golden age. Thanks for watching the conclusion of our Rory Byrne series. Which classic F1 designer should we cover under the microscope next? Let us know in the comments below. See you on the next lap.